Good afternoon. It is Tuesday. It is 12:30 and that means it's time for another episode of First Chapter Fun. I'm just going to do the usual technical checks and make sure that I can see people and people can see me. I see Rena has joined on Instagram. Looks like I'm live on Facebook as well. Now the question always is, will we see the comments? Hi Hank, hi Diane. I'm just going to see... Facebook is being a bit strange again, so I'm just going to open... No, it's not. I take it back. I'm sorry, Facebook. Don't boot me out. Everything is working. I see Carla, I see Ali on Facebook, and Diane. I actually see the comments on both. This is amazing. So, it is Tuesday. It is 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that means it's time for another episode of First Chapter Fun. My name is Hannah Mary McKinnon, an author of thrillers and psychological suspense, and with my partner in fictional crime, Hank Philippi Ryan, we both read a chapter of a different book, not ours, occasionally ours, but 99.9% of the time not. We read the first chapter of other authors' books every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and this has almost been going on for a year. First Chapter Fun started on March 17th last year, so that reminds me, on March 17th, make sure that you visit the Facebook group, because we've got some stuff cooking up in the background that we will tell you more about. But just let me tell you this, make sure that on March 17th you come to First Chapter Fun. It's a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, not a Thursday, but a Wednesday. So how have you been? How has your week been? Have you had sunshine or cold temperatures? We've had a bit of a mix. Not that I really noticed the weather outside, because I was stuck in what I like to call graphics hell. I chose to do some graphics for my upcoming release and a book trailer for my upcoming release. And I don't do graphics by trade. This is all stuff I've had to learn. Who knew when you become an author, you also need to know how to do graphics and videos potentially and whatnot. And with Hank, we decided, well, maybe we could change the graphics a little bit on some of the First Chapter Fun graphics. And with that one line, I opened a whole can of worms, and you will see gradually our branding, look at us. I mean, we've got a good group now, we've got a big group going. You know, we've got about 3,000 people in it. But you'll see gradually some small changes. Still very, very recognizable. Everything still remains the same, except for some of the graphics you'll see will change. Maybe you've noticed them already. Let us know if you have, and let us know what you think. I also this week, much to my children's dismay, discovered Reels on Instagram. It's true, those 15-second clips or 30 seconds, yeah, I've done I think 4 of them now, and they're quite a lot of fun, and I've been playing around. It's not procrastination, it's educational. And anyway, yeah, I've done a couple and they're kind of funny. You will find those on my Instagram, not First Chapter Fun's Instagram, but my Instagram, Hannah Mary McKinnon, but not right now, because right now it's time for First Chapter Fun. And Take the Day Off to Read says, new branding looks great. Fantastic. Bugs and Pages says, your reels rock. Ah, well, and Carrie says they're hilarious. Well, thank you, Carrie, and I'm so pleased to see you here, because we are reading from Carrie's book today, and it's called Salt the Snow. Let me hold that up. I can't hold it like that because you won't see it. You see that? Lovely, lovely cover. Salt the Snow. We're taking you off. Guess where? Guess where we're going today? Yes, we're going to Russia. We're going to Moscow. So I'm going to introduce you to Carrie and her book. But I see so many of you are here. I see Shannon and Carla and Tracy. Tracy Clark will be reading from Tracy's next book later on this year. I'm so excited about that. Her dialogue is brilliant. The banter between her characters, I just loved reading it last time. It was brilliant. We have Jacqueline and Elizabeth. We have so many people joining, and it's so great. We're so thankful, Hank and I, to be building this community with you. And we couldn't do it without the authors like Carrie, for whom we're reading today, and her publisher, Chicago Review Press. Thank you also to them. And we couldn't do it without you. You know, if nobody showed up, if we were just talking out into a vacuum, there would be no First Chapter Fun. So help us keep this going. You know, tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tag people, you know, share our posts. If you do that and get more people to join, then we can make sure that we continue increasing our audience and having more and more people join and discover what we do, because it really is such a joy, our little half an hour twice weekly bubble of fun, and everybody is welcome. I see Glennie has been watching First Chapter Fun pretty much from the start, I believe, and Anita loves books. We have Carolyn Grayson as well, who I met online at a different book event. This is so wonderful. And Robin too, still out in BC. Robin, are you still up in the mountains? I'm so jealous. I think you are, and I'm still jealous. So let's focus on today's author. Let me tell you about Carrie Callaghan and show you the cover of her book, Salt the Snow. This is her second novel, and it is set in Russia. I love the cover. See how the top of the Kremlin is in the O? That's really clever. Tell you, after being stuck in graphics hell for a week, I have a lot of admiration for graphic designers. That's for sure. So let me tell you a little bit about Carrie, and then I'll tell you about the book, and I'll tell you about the giveaway, because we have a giveaway today. So this is episode 138, and let me tell you about Carrie. Carrie Callaghan is the author of the historical novels A Light of Her Own, which published in 2018, and Salt the Snow, which published last February. So both are available now, but don't go and get them right now. I always say that, not right now, after I'm done reading. And both are from Amberjack, Chicago Review Press. Her short stories have been published in multiple literary journals around the country, and she's a senior editor with the Washington Independent Review of Books. She lives in Maryland with her family and 2 ridiculous cats. We need to know why they're ridiculous, Carrie. Why are these cats? What do they do? Tell us more. And she says she loves seasons of all kinds, history and tea. Tea is good. Tea is great. I don't drink coffee, but I drink tea. So Carrie's watching. She's here. So please leave a comment for her. Ask her a question, whatever intrigues you, where we can find out more about her books. I'll give you her socials in a minute, but ask her, you know, historical fiction. I always find that fascinating. How much research do you have to do for that? It's set in 1930s. You'll hear this in a second. Set in 1930s Moscow. Well, how do you do that? Because you weren't there. You know, how much research and how in depth, and how do you go about that? Where does the story come from? You know, the usual questions that we absolutely love to answer. So make sure you leave Carrie a question or a comment, because there's a giveaway. So make sure you leave a comment on Facebook and Instagram, so you will be in for a chance to win a copy of Salt the Snow by Carrie Callaghan. Make sure you leave that comment during the live reading, and Carrie will choose a winner. There you go. Not affiliated with Instagram or Facebook. I have to say that. I don't have to, but it's kind of funny. Maybe I should, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so you will find Carrie Callaghan author on Facebook. On Instagram, she's carrie.callaghan, and on Twitter, Carrie Callaghan. And if all that fails, you will find her website, or go and have a look at it anyway, carriecallaghan.com. So, Tracy says, not right now. See, I got it in there. I have to say it. It's kind of my catchphrase, not right now. Tracy said we're going to have a t-shirt printed that says, not right now. That would be funny, wouldn't it? And I would wear it. Let me just scroll up here. So Jen Jumbers has asked, how many times did you travel to Russia as part of your research to capture the essence? That's a great question. You know, and Beth says the cover is enough to make it a must read for me. That's amazing. So I will show you said cover again, and then I will read you the blurb and jump in to chapter 1. American journalist Milly Bennett has covered murders in San Francisco, fires in Hawaii, and a civil war in China. But 1930s Moscow presents her greatest challenge yet. When her young Russian husband is suddenly arrested by the secret police, Milly tries to get him released. But his arrest reveals both painful secrets about her marriage and hard truths about the Soviet state she has been working to serve. Disillusioned and pulled toward the front lines of a captivating new conflict, Milly must find a way to do the right thing for her husband, her conscience, and her heart. This is Salt the Snow by Carrie Callaghan. Chapter 1, February 27th, 1934. Crammed into the back seat with two other reporters, Milly wished the chauffeur would drive faster. Instead, the automobile slowed as it turned onto Pushernaya Street. Outside, only a few lights blurred past, their glow amplified by the white snow piled high on the sidewalks. Inside the chauffeured Ford, the raucous voices seemed to get louder. "Pipe down, you drunkards," Milly said. She wasn't nearly as tight as the rest of the group, though sure, she'd had a few dishes of vodka. "You'll wake up the block." If she was lucky, Zhenya would still be awake, waiting for her in the small room he shared with his mother. Not that she had any real hopes of getting a tumble out of him. Seema, who was sitting between Milly and another American newspaperman who'd been at the party, reached over to ruffle the black frizz of Milly's hair. "Oh, that glorious hair!" Seema giggled. Her own black hair was straightened and pulled into loose finger waves, prettier even than Josephine Baker's. "Old ladies like me have to have something to keep our spirits afloat." Milly hoped she sounded more witty than self-pitying. It didn't bother her to be 37. She just liked making cracks about it. The chauffeur pulled the Ford over to the curb. "You're lucky I put up with you rotten louts," Milly said, then opened the door. The brutal Russian cold flooded into the car. She swung her legs carefully onto the icy street, stood and snapped the door shut. Before she could tap farewell on the window, the automobile rolled off. She had her boots on, so she stepped right through a dip in the snowbank and onto the sidewalk. The cold burned her nose and made her glasses fog up, and yet there was still something beautiful about a Moscow night. As soon as the weather warmed, she and Zhenya would have to go for one of their nighttime walks again. It had been so long since they had, and by springtime he'd have fewer opera rehearsals to occupy him. She cleared her glasses with the wool of her gloved fingertips. There, parked a little way down from where she stood, was a black automobile. Milly's breath caught. None of Zhenya's neighbours owned a car. No ordinary Russian did. The Soviet Union was still learning how to make cars, and there wasn't enough to go around for anyone except the government. The light of a single street lamp caressed the smooth curves of the Ford. A shiver, even colder than the winter air, drilled through her. She hurried inside the building's unlocked exterior door and shook the snow from her boots while the snoring of one of the first-floor residents droned down the hallway. Then she hurried up the flight of stairs to Zhenya's floor. By the top, she was taking the steps a wobbly two at a time. Then, when she reached the top, she froze. The door to the apartment containing Zhenya's room was open, and light spilled out into the dark hallway. The building was quiet. Milly walked slowly inside. From the front room, filled with the cot and belongings of Luba, a Ukrainian student assigned to the subdivided apartment, Milly could see inside Zhenya's room, but she couldn't see him. A man in brown uniform with a peaked cap stood by Zhenya's open door. Inside, Zhenya's mother, Olga Ivanova, sat on the edge of her couch, her chin in her hand and her eyes on something to her left. "What's going on?" Milly asked in Russian as soon as she entered the small bedroom. Zhenya stood in the corner, his fine skin smudged with weariness. A second uniformed man was on his knees, peering into Zhenya's wardrobe. He stood. "Who is this?" he said to Zhenya next to him. Luba and Victor, Zhenya's closest friend and fellow actor in the opera, sat solemnly on the bed. Luba's flaxen-haired head resting on Victor's slim shoulders. Milly had never seen the room so crowded. "My wife," Zhenya said. "She doesn't live here, though." Milly's legs felt weak. "What does this mean?" she asked Zhenya in English. GPU search," he answered, like the scene was just as confusing to him. His grey eyes were wide and his blonde hair was still slicked back with the pomade he used for the stage. He looked both devastatingly handsome and fragile. Milly reached for him, without moving closer, but he kept his arms hugged around his chest. "Search? For what?" Milly let her hand fall and looked around the small room again. A photograph of Zhenya and her at the dacha was pinned above the bedside table. She hadn't minded that photo as much as she usually did with pictures. In this one, her jutting chin and overbearing front teeth were muted, and she looked happy. Happy to feel Zhenya's arm around her waist and the warm sun on her hair, the paper curled up at its scalloped edges. The officer had gotten back down on his knees to search under the wardrobe, and he scowled up at her. "Don't speak in any foreign languages, speak in Russian." "Her Russian isn't very good," Zhenya said, and Milly glared at him. That wasn't true. She could get by fine. "Then she doesn't have to speak," the officer concluded. He pulled out a pair of shoes and shook them upside down. "Has he got a warrant?" Milly didn't bother to speak quietly or in Russian. "Yes, he has a warrant for me." Zhenya's fingers tapped at his chest. That didn't make any sense. "You've seen it?" "Yes." Milly turned to the officer and flung the wardrobe door wide open, narrowly missing his head. "What are you looking for?" she asked in her accented Russian. He pressed his hands against a shelf and stood, then brushed his palms together. "Guns," he smiled. Milly almost laughed. Surely he was joking. Zhenya, her gentle opera supernumerary with his eager smiles and graceful fingers, stockpiling guns? But the cold lead snaking through her gut reminded her that the secret police were no joke, especially not when they came after midnight. The officer closed the wardrobe door quietly, then turned toward the large green trunk wedged under the window. He lifted the latch. "That's mine!" Milly almost reached out to grab his hand, but she restrained herself. She was nervous, she knew, and when she got nervous, she grew uncontrollable. She needed to be careful. He looked at her and smiled again, and this time she noticed the sizable gap between his front teeth. "I have a warrant." "But that trunk's mine. You can't search my things." His eyes narrowed. "You are his wife. It counts." She had nothing to hide. No guns, certainly. But still, it wasn't right that this ham-handed officer, with hair curling up from the top of his shirt collar, could rummage through her underwear. "Don't tear those stockings," she muttered. "I only have 3 pair." He gave her a sideways look, but otherwise continued uninterrupted. To his credit, each item he removed, he replaced as carefully folded, or more so, as he left it. But he seemed to be inventorying her items with more attention than he paid to Zhenya's clothes. The hairs at the back of her neck prickled. Milly glanced back and forth between Victor, slender and hunched like a willow, and Luba, stocky and straight, who sat together silently on the bed, while Zhenya stood staring out the window as if he were admiring the snowfall. The guard by the door peered into the room, but he looked bored. "See? Nothing," she said, when the officer closed the trunk. Victor looked up, as if surprised at her conclusion, but otherwise no one else paid her any attention. She wondered if they were scared or simply resigned. The officer likewise ignored her, and next turned to the cabinet they had once used to store what little food the three of them could accumulate before they had decided to store things in the apartment's small kitchen. Milly didn't sleep in this room, not usually, but she had meals with Zhenya and his mother when she could. Olga, whose arthritic hands kept her from working, couldn't qualify for her own meal ticket book, so it was easier for Zhenya to feed her if Milly pitched in. Plus, Milly enjoyed the older woman's calm determination. "Look out," Milly said to the officer, who reached his hand into the cabinet. "There's been a mouse in there for a while."
"I'm not afraid of mice."
"Oh, no, I was thinking of the mouse." The officer turned to face Zhenya.
"Why is your wife so rude? I'm being very quiet about the whole business."
Zhenya shook his head. His lips, Milly saw, had turned pale, and he didn't speak. "I'm not rude," Milly said, though she knew she had been, and she wished she could stop. "I'm not the one going through people's underwear."
"Look at the other citizens." He gestured at the three seated figures. "They don't complain."
"They're Russian. I'm American." And she'd had a few swallows of vodka, but that probably didn't matter. That was part of the first chapter of Salt the Snow. I've got so much glare going on behind me. Can you see that on Instagram? I know you can see it really well on Facebook. Ooh. And on Instagram as well. Carrie Callaghan. I know you can't see her. I'm trying to get you her name. There we go. There we go. That's better, isn't it? You can see that. The sport of trying to show you stuff on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. Here we go. That was the first part of the first chapter of Salt the Snow by Carrie Callaghan. So what do you think of that? I'm going to check in the comments now. Judy says, where's the rest of the chapter? In the book, which is available now, and you can pick it up now from any indie or online store or the library. And I'm just looking up here. Mindy says, I love historical fiction books and I love hearing authors read them. Kimberly says, love historical too. Shannon says, wow, great, definitely want to read. And Carrie says, I love historical fiction too. It's very, very popular, historical fiction. Has that always been so? I don't know. I do read historical fiction, but I probably read more thrillers and suspense than anything else, which, well, that's what I write, so that's what I read the most of. But I love historical fiction. It's always so interesting to be whisked off to a different time, not just a different place, but in this one you get to go to a different place and a different time. Salt the Snow by Carrie Callaghan. And Carrie says, thank you for reading. No, thank you, Carrie, for letting us read for you. Like I said, we cannot do this without the approval of the authors and the publishers, so we're always very, very grateful that they're able to do that. And if you haven't checked out the videos that Hank makes these brilliant promotional videos, about a minute long or just under, and that's where we're playing around with the graphics as well. And you really need to watch them. We always put them on Facebook, so in our Facebook group, First Chapter Fun, and on Instagram, First Chapter Fun as well. Check those out. We also post on Mondays, Sunday, fun facts about the two books that we have coming up. On Friday, we have fun facts about the authors, so make sure you watch out for a brand new one of those. And we'll also ask you on Friday what you're reading, to share what you're reading on Facebook and Instagram. So there's always something going on in First Chapter Fun. And make sure today, if you just arrived, you're in luck, because, well, you're in luck as long as you leave a comment, because Carrie is choosing winners for her giveaway for a copy of Salt the Snow. Isn't that brilliant? There we go. Jen says they're brilliant and deserve Emmys. To go with all of the 30, how many, Hank, now do you have? 38 Emmys or 37? And do you still count them? And do you still have room on your shelf for more? I'm sure you do. So I'm just going to flick through the comments. Carrie just said her connection on Instagram is being wonky, so she's switching to Facebook. But Jen Jumber, you're the winner. Please send me your mailing address. So we already have a winner on Instagram for a copy of Salt the Snow. So let me tell you about Thursday's episode. We have another episode. This will be episode 139. And if you've missed any of them, you can go to our IGTV, or you can go to our Facebook group with media, under media videos, and you can see them all. You'll see all of the videos we've made, all of Hank's promotional videos, any chats we've done, any special events we've done. They're all in there. All 137, soon in about half an hour, 138 videos will all be there. And this is episode 139. We have powerhouse thriller author J.T. Ellison coming back. We read from Good Girls Lie back in, I want to say June or July. But here she is with her Dark Lies. Gorgeous cover. Another one. And this is what we're going to be reading from on Thursday. Where will it be? Right here on Instagram at First Chapter Fun, and on Facebook at First Chapter Fun Group. And it will be, as always, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can rely on us, Tea with Hannah and Hank, every Tuesday and Thursday, live readings and other little things in between. So make sure you stop by. So I hope you enjoyed this year's episode. I was going to say this month, no, this week, no, today's episode. Let me show you the cover again. Salt the Snow by Carrie Callaghan, and coming up on Thursday, Her Dark Lies by J.T. Ellison. And we hope that we'll see you then. So until Thursday, until then, please say it with me. Stay safe, stay kind, and we will see you on Thursday. Thank you for watching.